gonna go ahead and get this install started today. I don't know if I'm gonna finish today, but it might be 1 or 2 parts, we'll see. And we're gonna go ahead and drop the factory exhaust on the X3 today, get the bracing down, then the full exhaust, because it's all gonna come out in one giant piece. And then we're gonna go ahead and just install this catback piece by piece into the car, starting from the front to the back. Just depending on how hard it is to get out the OEM one, we'll kind of see where we go. We will be utilizing the factory valves from the factory exhaust. Right there is a new one, and then there is going to be where the old one is. Now what's interesting about this is it includes sealant gasket. I don't know why, because everything's a slip-on joint, and then they're all held together by these bands right here. But looking over a couple different things is that I noticed that these joints are a little bit tight, so you kind of have to stretch them out a little bit. No biggie though. It's not super hard to really get a pipe in there. Welds are fantastic though. I mean, can't really get too much better than that for the price I paid. And I'll go over everything a little bit later. I'll make a video with costs and everything, but I'll make sure I put it all in the same one. There's the harness, and the only concern that I really had about this kit was those clamps. So with these, I'm just a little cautious about how tight we can get these without them falling off. So I'm gonna just go ahead and throw some blue Loctite on there, some 242. But overall, man, this entire exhaust has been so far phenomenal. Just between packaging, shipping, quality. I mean, even at the Y pipe right here, we got, looks like a little bit of bracing, you know, pretty neat. So I definitely did not splurge for the whatever this is, RRPR. So I don't know what brand that is or who asked them to make it, but it was leftover stock. They asked me if I wanted it. I was like, sure, why not, whatever. It's better than, I don't know, planks, I guess. But anyways, I'll go ahead and cut this video. We'll get this going and kind of get from there. So hope y'all enjoy the video, and I'll go ahead and get started. Thank you. All right, so underneath the vehicle right now, gonna go ahead and disconnect the factory valve, along with just loosening up a couple of these bushings that hold up the muffler, as well as the cross bracing that goes to the rear. So it looks like we're actually gonna have to undo a couple pieces of plastic from the underbody over here. So that side, this bracing, as well as that one way back there. So I'll go ahead and get started. Everything else looks free up there. So 2 things real quick. Underneath the vehicle, there is 2 locations where you have to unbolt 2 13mm bolts that are attached to the cross bracing. I just want to point that out so that way you're not sitting there pulling on the cross bracing while you're trying to get the factory exhaust out. While I'm under there, I'll go ahead and show you a couple different locations that I've already been, you know, unscrewing, unbolting, whatever you want to call it, really. So that way you all know the direction to take. So I'll flip the camera and we'll get to it. First stop. I'll turn on my light. All right, so Underneath we have the cross bracing, and then right there is where the 13 is. Same thing on the other side, right there. And then underneath you're gonna need a, I believe it was E10, if I remember correctly. Yeah, I believe it was an E10 for all the cross bracing. It's underneath as well. But we're almost there. I'll go ahead and get the time lapse started back up again, and hopefully we'll be good to start installing another one. All right, so I stopped the time lapse real quick. I want to point out a couple different things. So for the downpipe connection, the furthest away from the rear, closest to the engine, from the cat down, the connector goes right here. The only issue that I saw with the kit so far, and you know there could be some more, so bear with me, the flange that they provided is a little bit too big for this. It just slips on, goes on way too big. You can kind of see it right there. So what I did, I went over to my factory exhaust. Now this was actually pretty easy. So you don't need any special tools, you don't need a die grinder or anything like that, because this is only spot welded on in one place, right there. So on the bottom side, I took some pliers, spread it where the flange came down, spread it with the nut off, and then I had a little bit of wiggle. So I just kept wiggling it back and forth, until the point where that little spot weld just broke off and it's good to go. You can just go to the auto parts store and just grab another one. I believe this is, let me grab my tape measure real quick. I want to say it's like 2 1/4. No, it can't be 2 1/4. All right, for the factory exhaust, we're looking at roughly like 3 1/4, just barely. So you can get the same exact one, and you can see the beveled joint. It just kind of goes down, gets a little bit bigger. So this might actually end up being for that side, but we'll see. I'm gonna go ahead and do a voiceover through the time lapse, so that way you get kind of a feel of what I'm doing while I'm re-watching it. So enjoy, sit back. I got a couple more things to do, and then we can go for a fire up. But everything's looking great so far, so bear with me. Fingers crossed. Hey, so I just wanted to touch base on a few different things with shipping. I know ordering from Alibaba, you could be expecting to wait, a couple weeks, months, sometimes even. This particular instance, it was about 1 month since it arrived to my house. Packaging completely fine, no issues with it at all. No big tears, rips, anything like that. They were all protected with these little tiny plastic corner pieces on every single corner. So it prevented any internal, external damage, any jostling around. Everything was nicely packaged. There was no issues with parts on arrival, no dents, no dings, no scratches, anything like that. All the internal components were also boxed up individually. Like the controller was actually already installed. The wiring was separate. But you can see on the box right here that there was some light scuffs, but that saved it. So those corner pieces were definitely detrimental from shipping all the way overseas. They did a great job wrapping it. I will, hats off to them on that. That this was able to go on a shipping container for an entire month essentially, and it arrived with no rust, nothing like that. This was the packaging that it was for the controller harness and the exhaust tips, no damage whatsoever. One other topic I want to touch base on is the quality of this. For the price that you're paying, the time that you're waiting for, and the customizability of it, you're not going to beat the price. Roughly, all in all, I probably spent maybe $900 total shipped to my front door for this exhaust. You might get a slightly different pricing depending on who you go to as a vendor. I can link it in the comment section below, but for what I got, I am extremely happy for it. It is plug and play with my vehicle, and the customizability of this, as you can see, it shows RRP. I have no clue what that brand is. I don't know who it was, who even originally ordered it. When I contact my vendor through Alibaba, they said that they had extra stock. So I said, why not? Sure. That way I don't have to wait for my lead time for that to actually be produced, packaged up, and shipped out. They were already ready to just drop it on off to a freightliner and then just ship it overseas, and then FedEx picked it up from there and then delivered it to my front door. So you have options with these vendors. You can tell them exactly what you want. They'll do exactly how you want to do it. And as you can see in this video too, on the Y pipe, I was not expecting any sort of placement at all on there. So that's a beautiful touch. This alone will be one reason why I will most likely always work with vendors. All right, so I had to stop the time lapse. I'm running out of battery on the phone, so I'm recording everything on that. But I wanted to give a quick little update on what's going on. So do not install the exhaust from the cat back to the exhaust, like tips. Go from the tips back. So start with the muffler, work your way to the Y pipe, and then the down pipe. I'll go underneath, show a couple different things. I want to touch base on one thing with the wiring, and we can kind of really go from there. But overall, entire exhaust install, pretty good. So let's take a look. So we got the exhaust tips all lined up. They look pretty good. It's nice. It's beautiful. No complaints. The only thing I recommend when you're putting these slip joints in, just stick them all the way in. Because then when you get down to the Y pipe, that's all the way down that direction, you actually have a little bit of wiggle room to be able to get it to the down pipe. And I'll go over that way, so that way y'all can see. But everything just went together just fine. There was no issues, nothing. The wiring for the valves, I want to go over that too real quick. So I'm going to kind of get over here. The factory wiring for your valve is going to be kind of tucked up way there. This was connected right here, a little clip. So I just kind of tucked that up in there. You can leave it disconnected, but I wanted to see if I can just kind of tuck it away. I loosened up this 8mm, this 10mm. Dropped this down just a little bit, weaseled the wire into there, plugged it in to the controller. And then the other side, I actually brought back through and then ran it all the way around, down, all the way over, loosen that up, and then just popped it out right there. And then that also just connects. It's on the back side. Let's see if I can get it. Yep, right there. But other than that, it's pretty simple. Not too bad. It's clean. No issues. It's really tight up underneath here, so I mean there's no issues with fitment. One thing you do want to do is just kind of give it a wiggle. Any sort of knocking on the heat shield, you're gonna hear when you're driving around. I just rock it back and forth so that way you can simulate it as if you're just driving around town. Yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and just close out this video. And I'll probably get a sound comparison in maybe a day or two, but we'll see where it goes. So thank y'all for watching. Peace.